Greetings to everyone out there in the No DQ galaxy. Welcome to the No DQ live recap of Monday Night Raw for December 2nd, 2019. We have the TLC pay-per-view, which is in less than 2 weeks, and there really wasn't all that much on this Raw to build up the pay-per-view, interestingly enough. It's almost as if this TLC pay-per-view is, well, a throwaway pay-per-view, which pretty much it is. So anyways, we kicked off Monday Night Raw with the AOP arriving in the building, and Charlie Caruso asked them about the attack on Kevin Owens, and the two of them responded in their native tongues. She wanted to know what they were saying, and their response was, "Charlie, you look lovely tonight." We then had Seth Rollins come out to make his public apology. This was a segment that was hyped up on social media over the last few days. By the way, Samoa Joe, once again on commentary. No complaints. I like Joe on commentary. I wonder what happened to Dio Madden, though. Man, that guy really took a beating from that Brock Lesnar attack. He is selling that like crazy. So we had Seth Rollins talk about how the comments he made about the Raw locker room, those comments were from his heart. He said that the people in the back are his family. He wants to get the best out of everyone. He does realize, however, that he went a bit overboard, and as a result, he apologized to the fans, the locker room, and Kevin Owens. He then proceeded to invite Owens to the ring. Kevin Owens was immediately suspicious of Seth. He said something doesn't smell right. Rollins responded by denying that AOP had any collusion with him. He had nothing to do with the AOP attack. Owens said that, you know what that smell is? That smell is bullshit. And yes, Kevin Owens said bullshit on Monday Night Raw. No censor. Attitude Era is back, people. No, just playing. AOP then came out and proceeded to challenge Rollins and Owens to a tag team match, players. But Owens felt that this was a setup. Rollins was like, yeah, let's do it. Owens, he was cool with it. But Owens felt like this was going to be a setup so the three of them could beat down poor Kevin Owens. So Owens did not buy that this was on the up and up. Rollins was like, well, you know what? I tried to help you out. Rollins proceeded to leave, and then Owens was like, well, I still want to fight. So he called out the AOP to fight. He was looking to pick a fight with the AOP, but AOP decided to walk to the back. Owens then said he's all taped up, he's ready to go, and said Nashville is ready for a fight, and he wanted somebody to come out there. This led to Bobby Lashley and Lana coming out. Well, first we had the commercial break, and then Lana came out by herself. She said Raw is all about her. Owens started getting pissed off, saying nobody cares about Lana. Lana then said that Rusev would not be there because she has filed another restraining order against him. She said he's a danger to society. And then Owens said that Lana talks a lot but says absolutely nothing, and nobody does it better than her. This led to Lana saying that her boyfriend, Bobby Lashley, is going to come out there and finish Kevin Owens. This led to Bobby Lashley finally coming out. He was escorted by two police officers or detectives or bodyguards, something or other. I guess they were police officers because they had handcuffs. We then had our first match of the evening about 30 minutes into the show. Bobby Lashley versus Kevin Owens. And then we had AOP come out attacking Kevin Owens for the disqualification. and they beat down Owens, and they literally took Owens' carcass and dragged him to the backstage area, and that was the last time we saw Kevin Owens on this show. So not sure where they took him, if they threw him in a dumpster or they buried him or they took him to the hotel and had their way with him. We don't know. We just don't know what happened to poor Kevin Owens. After the break, we had Bobby Lashley back in the ring again, talking about how he doesn't know what happened with AOP. And Rusev then ran in out of nowhere to attack Lashley. And the officers basically just stood there. They did not do anything. Rusev ended up going back into the crowd. Crowd loved Rusev, by the way, and this show was in Nashville, Tennessee, which Rusev and Lana live in that area, that part of the country. Lashley got pissed off, and he got on the mic and said that the officers had one job, and they blew it. One of the officers responded by saying, in Tennessee, they do things a little bit differently. They started to walk off. Lashley bumped into one of them, and then he was arrested. Lana got pissed off. She slapped one of the officers, and then she got arrested as well. And Lana got escorted into a police officer's car while R-Truth and the Street Profits were watching along. The interesting thing about this segment was that a Reddit user yesterday published spoilers. Basically, this person must have some sort of inside information, gets access to WWE scripts. This person published all this information about Rusev and the restraining order in Tennessee, the cops, the one cop mentioning Tennessee for a cheap pop, and then Lashley being arrested after bumping into the officer. So very interesting that this leaked out. It was up on NoDQ.com and pretty much all over the internet, yet WWE did not go away from this script. They did not change it up or anything. So very interesting there. Psycho Jet Black, my man Psycho Jet Black with a $5 super chat. And his question is, why does Robbie Vice hate Marco Stunt so much? Also, since you don't like Roman Reigns' booking, how would you book him from now until WrestleMania? Well, Psycho Jet Black, that is a bit off topic, but I will address it real quick. As far as Robbie Vice not liking Marco Stunt, I guess he feels like Marco Stunt doesn't look the part of a wrestler. I think that Robbie Vice expects wrestlers to look larger than life, to look like superheroes, to look like somebody other than your average Joe. And Marco Stunt doesn't look like a guy that could really take anybody in a fight. I think that that's Robbie's issue, that he doesn't buy into Marco Stunt as a wrestler. Like, he just cannot suspend disbelief with him. Now, some people will say, well, wrestling has changed. It's evolved. Anybody can be a star now, which, I mean, to a degree is true, but I think that you look at Spike Dudley. Spike Dudley was only going to go so far, and I think there is a place for Marco Stunt, but I don't think that he's going to be any kind of top-tier star, and the company should certainly not put all their eggs in the Marco Stunt basket. But enough of that. There's plenty of time to talk about that on the No DQ review and on social media. So we'll move past that. This is the Raw review. And as far as booking Roman Reigns, I hate to say it, but Roman Reigns is really the best choice to face Bray Wyatt other than Demon Finn Balor if Balor is going to be back on the main roster, which he may not. If the plan is to keep Balor in NXT, then realistically, Roman Reigns is the guy to go against Bray Wyatt at WrestleMania. Now, I would have Reigns lose, for sure. I would not have Reigns beat Bray Wyatt at WrestleMania. That would be a huge mistake, and you guys can make a soundbite of this and save this quote, but that would be a very bad idea, in my opinion, for Roman Reigns to beat Bray Wyatt for the title at WrestleMania. Roman should put over Bray, and you should keep building up somebody that can eventually beat Bray. So that's my 2 cents on it. We now resume the Raw review. We had Drew McIntyre versus Akira Tozawa, which was a glorified squash match. I mean, Tozawa actually did get some offense in this match, and Drew was making fun of him, getting on his knees and was like, leave now or I'm going to beat your ass. I was almost thinking for a minute here that this was going to be one of those upset matches where Tozawa would get the big win, but it was not. Tozawa got some offense, but then he got wiped out big time with the Claymore. Love the bump he took here, and Drew McIntyre picked up the victory. This is my spot of the night. This is the cool moment where we got to see Drew McIntyre start to get his groove back a little bit, and Tozawa selling the move really well. So good stuff here from these guys. After the match, Drew McIntyre talked about how people are going on social media and complaining, and they're cryptic with their posts, and they're cowards because of that. And then he said he's got an issue, and he's going to get straight to the point. That issue is Randy Orton. He has a problem with Orton. We had a commercial break. When we came back, Drew showed the footage from last week where Randy Orton poked Drew in the eye. And that's when Randy Orton came out and wanted to know if this is really why Drew is upset. Drew then got pissed off because Orton turned his back on him and said Orton walks around like he owns the place. And he doesn't like how Orton speaks to him like a damn child. Orton responded by saying he earned the right to do whatever he wants to do. And Drew was like, he's bigger and stronger than Randy Orton. Randy Orton is the past. He's the future. And then Orton said, if you still have a problem with me, we can fight right there. This led to the OC coming out. AJ said he wants a piece of Randy Orton. And Drew was like, well, you know what? This is now a Randy Orton OC problem. He proceeded to leave, and Randy Orton was attacked. Ricochet, Humberto Carrillo, and Rey Mysterio all made the save. And that set up the main event of the evening, the six-man tag team match. I'm glad they saved it for later instead of doing the immediate match right after the break. And I did want to note, I know a lot of people don't like the Lana and Rusev stuff. I mean, it won Worst Storyline of the Year on NoDQ.com for the year-end awards, but I liked it this week again, and I actually was very entertained by the first hour of Raw. I liked the first hour of Raw because it was more story-driven than previous weeks. I want to see more than just matches. I like the soap opera element of the shows. I like the promos, and there was a nice balance. There was definitely more talking than usual, but I felt like the talking was advancing storylines. Rusev is getting over again. People are chanting Rusev Day again, and regardless of what you think of the storyline, the crowds are getting behind Rusev again. So it's definitely making a connection with the fans that attend the WWE shows. Now, you have the Drew McIntyre Randy Orton thing, which is building up nicely. That could be a fun feud. And you got the Seth Rollins slow burn turn. They're not rushing it. I mean, they're taking their time with the Rollins turn, which is good. I like the fact that they're not just 1 week Seth Rollins is a heel. I like the fact that they're slowly building up towards it, and Rollins feels he's justified with his actions, which is what made Bret Hart's turn so great, because Bret Hart believed he was in the right, and Rollins is the same way, but he's going to keep getting screwed over. The fans are turning on him, and that's going to lead to Rollins eventually going full-fledged heel. So I like what they're doing with Rollins. They're not rushing the turn. And he'll probably be aligned with AOP, but they're slowly building it, which I do like a lot. So I enjoyed the first hour of Raw. Now, with that being said, I feel like it started to drag later in the second hour and into the third hour. It started to feel like your typical slow-paced Raw where you just want it to be over with already. Again, I say this almost on a weekly basis. 3 hours, too long for Raw. If this was a 2-hour show and you cut out the filler, it'd be a really fun 2-hour show. But when it's 3 hours, it's like, it just eventually drags. And I feel like WWE threw all the good stuff out in the first hour. All the eventful things happened in the first hour. And second and third hour were just, guys doing matches. We had Alistair Black versus Tony Nese. Pretty much a squash match. Tony Nese got a little bit of offense, but not much. Alistair wins with the NoDQ.com 2019 Finisher of the Year, the Black Mass, which I forgot what Jerry Lawler called it, but it was not the Black Mass. Hamp Connell with the $2 super chat says, I predict WWE will go out of business in a week. Yeah, totally. WWE's done for. AEW rising, AEW flying, WWE dying. There you go. And after the match, we had Buddy Murphy interviewed, and he said he is going to expose Alistair Black because Alistair Black takes himself too seriously, and Alistair Black needs to calm down. And then Buddy said he'll be the one to make Alistair calm down. Oh, Jerry Lawler called it the Black Magic. Good job, Jerry. I mean, it's better than what he said last week about Ric Flair being dead and all, but still. Come on, Jerry. I mean, I'm really one to talk when I get half of these moves wrong when I'm recapping these shows. We had Andrade versus Eric Young. That's right, Eric Young making a rare appearance on Monday Night Raw in a match. Eric, again, got a little bit of offense, but this was basically a glorified squash. Andrade picked up the win with a hammerlock DDT, and then after the match, R-Truth was being chased by the Raw C team, Titus O'Neil and all the other goofballs. And then all of a sudden, we found out that R-Truth was hiding behind NASCAR driver Kyle Busch. Kyle's friend was in a referee shirt, unbeknownst to R-Truth. And then we had, of course, the roll-up, and now this NASCAR guy is the new 24/7 champion, and I think nobody cares. Like, maybe R-Truth's family cares about this, but man, this title is just dead. It is deader than Rift Aronson at this point. It is just, it's time to pack it up. But I guess WWE is going to milk it as long as they can. If they think that they can get some random sports guy to be part of the angle, they'll keep doing it for as long as they can. It's so played out now. Seriously, just end it, please. Leave it in 2019. How about that? We had Seth Rollins interviewed backstage. He was asked about why he did not help Kevin Owens, and Rollins was like, he did try to help, and Kevin Owens wanted none of it. He said, no matter what he does, he's the bad guy, it's always his fault. And then he said, everybody's a critic, but not everyone has the guts to be a leader. And then he walked off. Funny enough, going into his car and leaving when there's still an hour and a half to go. And I guess that's done by design. I know people were calling it out, but I think that's all part of the angle here, that Rollins is delusional. He thinks he's the locker room leader, but here he is leaving an hour and a half before the show. So I feel like this was done by design, you know? Seth Rollins is not being a leader by example. He's doing whatever the hell he wants to do, and he's just delusional to his actions. Then we had No Way Jose. This has been an interesting show where we got a lot of guys coming out of oblivion. No Way Jose actually got a full entrance on top of that. But he was up against Eric Rowan, who came out with the mysterious creature in the cage. No Way Jose's conga line wanted to find out what was in the cage, but then we had Rowan snap again, and he proceeded to beat the crap out of everybody. He pinned No Way Jose after 2 choke slams. He hit one, and then he lifted him up and then did the second one for the win. And then after the match, Eric was asked about what's in the cage, and he did not answer. So the mystery continues. Then we had Asuka interviewed about Charlotte ending her streak and about the 2-on-1 handicap match. Asuka proceeded to cut this promo in Japanese, and then we had the Kabuki Warriors come out for the match. They have brand new music, which I guess was okay, but still a far cry from what the CFOs were doing. And I do think they're gone because the CFOs have not sent out anything on Twitter since the summer. Like, it's been a good 4 months since they've had any activity on social media. And these last batches of themes have been pretty lackluster. And this one was okay. I mean, this one was decent, but still, I mean, I'm happy that they finally have, a combined theme song. But at the same time, like, why not just bring back Jim Johnston, Mo Camera with a $2.79 super chat donation says, Michael Pohl is the worst commentator. Trash, trash. Not sure if he meant Michael Pohl or Michael Cole, but we'll say Michael Cole is the worst announcer. How about that? Michael Pohl, did Vince Russo book this color commentator? So we had Charlotte versus the Kabuki Warriors, and this was, I'm just going to go ahead and say this was the best match of the night. Pretty solid match here. Charlotte managed to put in a great fight against the two of them. She went for the moonsault, and both of them got their knees up, so she got double the pain. But she came back from that, put on the Boston Crab. Asuka broke it up, and then Charlotte hit a double spear. However, Asuka kicked out of that, and then Charlotte put on the figure 8 onto Asuka, but Charlotte was not aware that a tag was made, and Kyrie hit the insane elbow to pin Charlotte Flair. No Becky Lynch on this show whatsoever. Again, really surprising considering TLC is coming up in less than 2 weeks. WWE waiting to the last minute to set up these matches, which I presume we're going to have Kabuki Warriors versus Charlotte and Becky in a TLC match. Charlotte was interviewed backstage. She was asked if she regretted challenging the Kabuki Warriors, and her answer was just no. And that was that. Then we had the Viking Raiders win another squash match. Not much to say about it. Typical stuff here with the Viking Raiders. I guess WWE is trying to figure out something to do with them other than win squash matches, but I really don't have a problem with it. But they are the tag team champions. You would think you would start building up teams to challenge them. Mo Camera with a $7 super chat says, has anyone told you you look like Michael Cole? Of course not. You're much cuter. Oh, well, thank you for that, Mo Camera. I appreciate that. That is so cute of you. Anyways, moving on here. We had the main event of the evening. We had Ricochet, Humberto Carrillo, who has new entrance music again. Still not a fan of his music. It sounds like some crappy AEW song, like one of those theme songs that like Sammy Guevara has or Sean Spears, just some generic crap. And before the match, Ricochet talked about how superheroes can be real and they're going to shut up the OC, blah, blah, blah. We had the 6-man tag team match, Ricochet, Rey Mysterio, and Humberto against the OC. During the match, the announcers brought up how Cain Velasquez got his first WWE win in Mexico City. So congrats to Cain, who, by the way, won the NoDQ.com Worst Superstar of the Year award, even though he only had one match. Poor Cain. I feel bad for the guy. He lost his... Well, he won the award, but he beat out Shane McMahon, so yeah, sucks for him. Anyways, Ricochet got the hot tag, cleaned house, but then AJ Styles hit the Styles Clash from the second rope to pick up the victory. But then, after the match, RKO out of nowhere, Randy Orton takes out AJ Styles, and Raw goes off the air with Randy Orton standing tall. And Mo Camera with a $2.79 super chat. Thank you for that, Mo Camera. Are you looking forward to Roman Reigns burying the Fiend? I fear that might happen. I'm not looking forward to it if it does happen. I'm hopeful that if Roman Reigns does get that WrestleMania spot, that he loses to the Fiend, and you save somebody else to be the one to beat the Fiend. But time will tell on that one. We'll see if Roman Reigns wins the Royal Rumble. I would not book Reigns to win the Rumble, but I was going to go with Kane to win the Rumble, but apparently a lot of you guys don't like that idea, so you guys may be screwed one way or another. I mean, pick your poison. Is it going to be Kane or is it going to be Roman Reigns? Wouldn't be shocked if it's one of those guys. Anyways, let's go ahead and do the Leonard grade for Raw. I did enjoy the show. Like I said, I liked the first hour. Second and third hour kind of dragged for me. I'm going to give it a B minus, slightly above average. I did find it fairly enjoyable though for Raw. Not a terrible show, but it definitely got some mixed reviews from people. People's WWE channel with a C plus, Super Namic 2121 with a D minus, Tic Tat Tat with a C minus, Michael Wayne with a C, Dr. Scorpio with a C, Terry with a C, Joseph with a C minus, Curtis Butler with a C, Colin Andrew with a C plus plus, Chris Mace with a C minus, Jeremy Dorset with a C minus, and Mike B with a C. So a lot of C's. I think I gave Raw a little bit better grade than most. But again, I like the sports entertainment stuff. I just wish Raw wasn't 3 hours. Like, it just drags so much when it goes 3 hours. The Game is on 100 with a $10 super chat. Thank you very much for that. I appreciate it. He says, off topic, main roster helped to put NXT over big at Survivor Series to help NXT against AEW in the ratings. I think it is helping NXT big time versus AEW overall. And then he adds, Raw gets a B minus. Well, there you go. He agrees with me on the letter grade then. I don't think WWE was purposely having NXT go over to try and compete with AEW. I think WWE is just trying to build up NXT as the third brand. I think that's what it's all about. But yeah, I think it definitely helps. Fans tuning in and watching Survivor Series and seeing these NXT guys can only be good for the NXT brand. And, you know, I think Survivor Series was a star-making night for Keith Lee. And I think that it's a positive for WWE to continue to build up the NXT stars. And, you know, you can call them up whenever. You can bring some guys over to NXT. You can go back and forth. And there you go. Vince did not bury NXT, which a lot of us were fearing going into Survivor Series, that NXT would lose all the matches. And Christopher Mace is like, NXT is the superior brand. Hashtag NXTeam. There you go. And Ken, terminated by Google, is here with a $5 super chat. Says, Rift, just like Razor Ramon, you got a dude having a crush on you. Maybe Mo has a heart tattoo with your name on it. LOL, just kidding. He might, but you know what, Mo Camera, if you're a fan, buy a shirt, nodq.com/merch. Buy a hat, buy a hoodie. We got tons of merchandise on there over at the nodq.com store. And if you guys enjoy this video, please spread the word, tell a friend, and stay tuned because later this week we got the NoDQ.com Decade Awards. And myself, along with good old JM Jeff Meacham, we will be discussing the best of the decade. Stay tuned, NoDQ.com. And of course, stay tuned for all the latest news and rumors over at NoDQ.com. Follow NoDQ at NODQCOM, or no, NODQDOTCOM, NoDQ.com spelled out. Twitter, Facebook, all that stuff, and at Aaron Rift on Twitter and Facebook. Thank you guys for that. Stay tuned for all the good stuff, and I will see you guys next time.